Welcome to RPNAO's Self-Care series. This is Module 1 of Emotional Well-Being, focusing on your relationship with yourself. This session will begin to explore emotional self-care. You will learn about emotional intelligence and how it relates to emotional self-care, what emotional self-care is, the components of your relationship with yourself, how to engage in emotional self-care and why it's important. The components of your relationship with yourself that you will be learning about are self-awareness, self-management, and motivation. Emotional intelligence and emotional self-care. The principles of emotional intelligence can be divided into two categories: your relationship with yourself and your relationships with others. This module will focus on the relationship with yourself, breaking it down into the three aspects of EI: self-awareness, self-management, and motivation. Part 2 will be focusing on empathy and social skills. Unlike IQ, EI is something that can be learned. Studies have shown that having high emotional intelligence can increase productivity and is a major factor in differentiating top performers from their colleagues. These studies found that it is not always the smartest people in an organization that are the most effective. It's often the emotionally intelligent that have the greatest positive impact on their workplaces. Emotional self-care is based off of the principles of emotional intelligence. To apply emotional self-care means engaging in activities that support your emotional health and well-being. It can be difficult for nurses to engage in emotional self-care because typically nurses have busy schedules and often carry their own emotional burden in addition to those of their patients. Nurses are welcomed into the lives of their patients, who are more often than not going through difficult times, and it's important for the nurse to be able to work through these emotions as well as the emotions that they carry from their own life experiences. By utilizing emotional self-care, you can provide yourself with one of the best tools in combating the effects of work stress. Your relationship with yourself consists of the three main components of EI: self-awareness, self-management, and motivation. Your self-awareness and self-management help you identify your feelings, manage the way you react to your emotions, and understand what motivates you. Your motivation is the desire within yourself that facilitates the actions that drive you towards achieving your goals. These three components are important because your relationship with yourself sets the tone for all of your other relationships. By understanding these concepts and developing these competencies, one is able to holistically care for their emotional well-being. How to engage in self-care. Self-awareness. Emotional self-awareness is being cognizant of your own emotions. It is essential to be aware of your emotions in order for you to control them. Start to think about what feelings arise when you are anxious, stressed, or angry. How do you feel in those moments? You are not always able to avoid scenarios that trigger unwanted emotional stimuli, which is why it's important to develop this awareness. In order for the nurse to become more self-aware, they need to start off by being able to identify their emotions and the feelings associated with them. When our minds are consumed by emotion, it can be difficult to process our thoughts. In these times that involve charged emotions, it can be easy to react in an instant without thinking through the situation. In his book titled Emotional Intelligence: Why It Can Matter More Than IQ, Daniel Goleman describes these quick reactions as an emotional hijacking. Goleman describes that there is evidence to suggest that the part of the brain that involves emotion tells us that there is an emergency and to be on high alert when we experience negative emotions. That part of the brain, known as the limbic system, then recruits the rest of the brain to its urgent agenda, which can trigger our instant reaction caused by the release of our fight or flight hormones. Thankfully, when our brain becomes overwhelmed by emotion, there is an off switch. As Goleman describes in his book, the left prefrontal lobe appears to be part of the brain that switches off or decreases the intensity of negative emotions. Goleman says that people who are self-aware are able to control these intense emotions, even bringing themselves out of bad moods. Self-aware people have a generally more positive outlook on life. Their mindfulness helps them manage their emotions. They do not obsess and ruminate in negative thoughts. Nurses need to be focused, and most people have experienced a time when emotions have made that focus difficult. When you start to identify emotions, you are able to more effectively express them and control your feelings. Practicing self-awareness can build self-esteem, self-confidence, and by utilizing self-awareness, nurses are using one of the best tools they have to address workplace stress. Self-awareness and mindfulness share many similarities, but there are a few subtle differences. Brown and Ryan describe self-awareness as the knowledge about the self, where mindfulness is the knowledge and awareness of one's experience in the present moment. Because they are very similar, learning how to become mindful also helps you to become more self-aware. So how do we become mindful? Mindfulness can be practiced at any moment, but it helps to have quiet space free from distractions. Mindfulness can be as simple as taking 5 minutes out of your day to think and reflect, or it can be done using tools such as guided audio tracks, reflective journals, or meditation. There are many smartphone apps that can help guide you through mindfulness exercises, providing instruction on how to work through these activities. Because these apps can help you become more mindful, using them can help you become more self-aware, which has been shown to be significantly associated with your overall well-being. The RPNEO has developed resources for you to learn more about mindfulness, and some resources that can also help you practice it. Below this module is a list of these resources, including smartphone app reviews to help you decide which app would work best for you, and a link to our module centered around mindfulness. Gaining a deeper understanding of mindfulness can help you with your overall well-being. Self-management. Self-management is your ability to manage your emotions and control impulsivity. The hardest emotions to manage are typically anger, anxiety, and sadness. By learning to effectively manage emotions, it can reduce the sense of being overcome by these feelings, which allows the nurse to better concentrate and make more practical decisions. Controlling the impulse to react when these feelings and emotions arise leads to increased emotional stability and an enhanced ability to cope with stress and anxiety. As cited in the article, The Psychology of Emotional Regulation, an Integrative Review, having the ability to regulate one's emotions has even been linked to mental health, physical health, relationship satisfaction, and work performance. In these emotionally demanding moments, it's important to regulate the focus of your attention and how you interpret the information that you're taking in. Instead of restricting the information that increases your emotional stimulus, you can self-regulate by controlling your attention process through mindfulness. When you're mindful of your emotions and how they affect you, you become better able to alter how you interpret and react in these emotionally arousing situations. By doing this, you can be more effective controlling your actions. Emotions don't only affect you in the moment. Sometimes they cause a lingering stress that's important to address. Developing strategies to control these emotions and access coping resources are two essential ways to help self-manage. One resource that you may already be accessing without realizing it is your relationship with friends and family members. People often turn to friends and family when they're stressed or feeling overwhelmed, and this is a useful resource to intentionally use. Can you think of someone in your life who's a good listener or provides you with support when an issue arises? Having people who are consistent in your life is a great way to develop a plan to address this stress when emotions do arise. There are also many other resources that can help you self-manage the emotions you experience related to stress. Some examples of coping strategies are as simple as making lifestyle changes, such as maintaining your physical health by eating a healthy diet, getting enough sleep, and regular exercise. Utilizing relaxation exercises, such as slow, deep breathing and meditation, can be helpful in the moment to manage emotions. Take the time to enjoy nature, developing hobbies, or spend quality time with others as a first step. For a more comprehensive list and more information on managing stress, visit the Heart and Stroke Foundation's online booklet from the link below this module, titled Coping with Stress, Heart and Stroke Foundation. This is an excellent resource that provides information about stressors and how your body responds to them. This resource provides information on coping and can guide you in creating a plan to help implement a self-management strategy. Motivation. The final component of your relationship with yourself is motivation. Motivation is that internal driving force that makes you want to achieve your goals. It's described as the ability to propel yourself towards a certain goal. Setting clear goals and having a positive attitude are crucial pieces to increasing motivation. Optimism fuels motivation and is one of the most effective emotional abilities you can develop. Although it's impossible to have a predisposition to having a negative or positive attitude, with a little effort and practice, it is possible to learn to think positively. Without motivation, you would have no desire to reach your goals, making it an important aspect of your emotional self-care. It's easy to say that we need to be positive, or that you want to think more positively. But how do you actually do this in your workplace, or even in your personal life? The first strategy is to have a positive focus. As explained by Cabrera in her article, The 6 Essentials of Workplace Positivity, research has shown that we can train our brains to think positively. Practicing positivity helps you develop positivity as a habit, helping your initial reaction to negative emotion become more positive. Focus on what is going well. Celebrate your small personal achievements. Regularly review your strengths and try to actively find solutions to your problems instead of dwelling on them. The second strategy to promote positive thinking is optimism. Not to be confused with a positive focus, optimism is having the expectation that the end result of your situation will be a favorable one. As described by Cabrera, optimistic people believe that they can accomplish their goals. They view setbacks as only temporary obstacles that they will overcome. Viewing these setbacks negatively and seeing them as obstacles that you cannot overcome adds fuel to a pessimistic attitude that tears down your motivation. Thankfully, you can learn to be optimistic as well, because we do have a choice in the way we view these barriers. The next strategy to promote positive thinking is to help increase motivation. We use gratitude. As Cabrera writes, gratitude is being thankful. Enjoy the moment, recognizing how fortunate you are in your circumstances, and focus on the good things in life. Gratitude is a crucial aspect of learning to think positively. When you're thinking about things that you're thankful for, you're thinking about what is good, and this helps you remain positive and continue practicing positivity. The fourth strategy we will review is forgiveness. Gratitude boosts our positivity, but hanging on to negative emotions and not extending forgiveness decreases our positivity. It is important to forgive so that we can let go of these negative emotions and remain positive. By doing these things, you begin to condition your mind. Try it yourself. The next time a negative thought enters your mind, take a moment to pause. It's easy to react quickly, but it only takes a moment to be mindful of that emotion, which may just give you the time you need to think a little more positively. For a list of additional resources and direct links, please see the bottom of this module. The next module in the emotional domain of self-care is your relationships with others, which can be found on our self-care page under Practice and Education on the RPNAO website.